listening to the THC show, Two Hotheads on Cannabis, with your hosts,
Not Afraid,
Mike Can,
You Busy, You
KingRegularRadio.com.
What an introduction. Welcome back to the THC show, Two Hotheads on Cannabis. It's Heather Mack right here. My boy Mike Can.
Hello.
Right across from me, Lady in the Tramp style right now. We got an amazing show for you guys today. I hope you're riled and ready. Oh
yeah, this is going to be an exciting show. Quite the exciting show. A big week last week too, right?
Absolutely. Some big stuff happened. We heard from our wild, wonderful northern neighbors. New Hampshire had the results of their primary come in.
Yeah, and a lot of exciting things happening on the ground in New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. If you've been following on YouTube and following like we do, there's a number of candidates now being questioned and taken out of their comfort zone on our subject, which is marijuana reform. Mm-hmm. And one of the big people, there's a number of people. We also, this week, we're going to talk about Vermin Supreme.
We sure are. Vermin Supreme 2012.
Yeah.
I want a pony.
Let's hear of a Vermin
I
for
want
this
a
week.
pony.
Yeah, I want a pony too.
Don't we all?
I want more Vermin Supreme. I don't know.
Let's bump him up to a unicorn, and then maybe I'll vote for him. If he gives all of us a unicorn, then I'm set.
When he comes on the show, I think I'm ready to endorse him.
Let's see. Yeah,
I don't want a pony. I want him on the show.
Can we ride Vermin Supreme?
Yeah, can we ride him like a pony?
This is a brilliant idea, guys.
Yeah, and Freedom Bus Caravan was up in New Hampshire. Lots of videos on them came out this week. The things that they were doing with Santorum. Santorum people really got upset with Vermin Supreme and Freedom Bus Caravan, and it made great video. It's gone viral. And the other
thing,
thing,
saying that gone viral.
Yeah, it's definitely gone viral.
Haven't you gone viral this week? Mike Can's also sick, so.
Yeah, I got a stomach virus.
He went
a different type of
viral,
virus.
So
yeah,
be nice to him.
Yeah,
I won't. Yeah, no, we should ask Vermin Supreme and all of the folks, all the Freedom Bus is invited too. I know they're Rainbow Gathering folks, so we can have them all on our calendar. That I proposed this idea last week. I'm not forgetting about this. We're gonna have we did.
Yeah, it was more about my response to it.
Oh,
because I was such a prude. I don't want to be naked.
Because I want to have. We should have some naked activists in the. I didn't invite you, Mike. Did I?
Oh, I thought so. It seemed like I think
no
I
one
took it that way.
You naked.
Oh, that's
right?
good. That's good.
just kidding. No. So we have a really great show, and let's get we have a wonderful guest who's waiting and listening to all of our.
Let's talk about her. Let's talk about her work this week. She is the amazing star of the week. Irina Alexander is the SSDP, Students for Sensible Drug Policy. It's a national group.
National chairman?
Yeah, she's the national chairman of the board of directors.
Well, welcome, Irina. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great.
Awesome.
After a really fantastic weekend, also fully endorsed Vermin Supreme. Fantastic man.
Oh, there we go. See, you heard it here first, guys.
Did you run out?
Have you been actively pumping up Vermin Supreme's campaign while you're out there? Does that somewhat delegitimize or re-legitimize you?
I saw him every single day. He was always wherever we were.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty ubiquitous. I mean, you can't really miss him. The boot on the head kind of gives him away.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Maybe SSDP needs to come up with, some sort of uniform. Actually, I always kind of hate that. I kind of disagree with the trend of, dressing up in a in some like green weed leaf boas and trying to get a point across. I'm more of the SSDP camp. So Irina, I love the videos, and I love the way you you sound so all of SSDP is always sounding so legitimate, and you guys are so informed, and nobody can just point at you and be like, stoner.
Yeah, they had a hard time dealing with someone like yourself who was very polite, professional, on point, had the questions. Let's talk about some of the people that you've talked to this week and their responses.
Oh, sure. Well, so let's see. I personally talked to Romney twice. Well, okay, got on video responses from Romney twice, from Gingrich, from Santorum twice, and from Ron Paul. So it was quite a hectic week, to say the least, and it all ended with Ron Paul just, like, rambling on about how horrible Prohibition was. It was a really great, like, sigh of relief at the end after hearing from so many totally nonsensical candidates.
Yeah.
You can always hear a good story on Grandpa Ron Paul's knee.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was a big finish. Some of it, when you went after ask Santorum the questions, it seemed like he was trying to please you, but didn't know how, didn't even know what the issue really was, and went back and forth and flip-flopped. Like, is that exactly what happened?
Adorable.
Am I right on that?
I've never seen a Republican candidate besides Ron Paul try to please a drug reform advocate. So good for you.
Well, I think what's really interesting here is throughout the entire week, I kept realizing, well, I guess throughout, all of political history, people they talk about policies in this, like, very broad, general sense, but then bringing it back to what the actual human impact of those policies are, that's really often lost. So when I go up to candidates and I say, look, here I am a marijuana user, what are you going to do with me? That really humanizes the policies that they're talking about. So like Gingrich, 1 second says that he's not in support of decriminalization, but then I go up to him as a human being right after he says that and say, hey, here I am. I'm the person that you're thinking should be arrested. Well, do you really think that? And he says no.
Yeah.
So it's all like bringing the policies back to like the human impact of those policies. It's really important for us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that just shows the power of it. Just that one person asking the question, he can say that, but when he actually hears from someone with a video camera,
right?
It's pretty remarkable. Good for you. That's a big deal to get Newt Gingrich to personally pardon you. Maybe it should be like with the turkeys every year for Thanksgiving. We'll pardon a pot smoker. We'll let him out of jail, or like
if you're an SSDP member, you get pardoned.
Or like
yeah. Well, really, I mean, Obama has pardoned less people than any other president in our history. And yet, it's really actually offensive that he goes off and every Thanksgiving pardons 2 turkeys because it's such a laughing little funny thing, but yet they're nonviolent drug offenders sitting in our jails and prisons suffering.
Absolutely.
And here we are releasing birds.
And and you made a really good, that was part of your question, right? Was it Santorum that you were, why are we arresting nonviolent drug offenders? Which one was that? Was that Santorum or was that Romney?
That was I think Frank from one of our SSC peers asking Santorum a question. He says, the federal government doesn't do that. Doesn't arrest nonviolent drug offenders, which is a little wrong, a little bit.
Yeah. Which is a real
we were reading a memo, I think, recently of one of the, letters from a Colorado district attorney to the medical marijuana dispensary and stuff, saying, we will arrest all of you. It's like in the memo.
Right.
But
right.
We actually have some of those clips cut up, and we were hoping to play some of those. Do you mind hanging out for a little while with us while we play some of those and even comment on them after we play them, Irina?
Sure, absolutely. Go for it.
All right.
I've got Mitt Romney, I've got Ron Paul, and I've got Santorum.
Which one would you like to start with, Irina?
Let's go with Santorum.
Yeah, let's go with him.
I agree.
So I asked you a few days ago if I'm a marijuana user and if I should be incarcerated and arrested for that, and you said that it's up to my state laws. I just wanted to verify that you are in fact in support of states figuring out their own drug policies.
Well, obviously state drug laws are the principal drug laws. I do have concerns about obviously drug use and its impact on our society, and so I would say that the federal government does have a role in making sure that drug use, that states don't go out and legalize drugs, that there are drugs that are hazardous to people, that do cause great harm to both to the individual as well as to society as a whole, and the federal government has a role in making sure that those drugs are not in this country and not available, and that people who use them illegally are held accountable. Ideally, states should enforce these laws, but the federal government has a role because it is a public health issue for the country.
Yeah.
All right, that was Irina asking Santorum about drug laws, about marijuana specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you later talked to him again? Is this correct, or was it another SSDP here?
No, I talked to him the day before that, and I asked him if I should be arrested for my marijuana use, and he said it depends on your state laws. And then here he went off rambling, saying, "Well, actually, I don't know, drugs are bad, so probably federal law too."
Yeah. So he kind of changed from one day to the next.
We don't see that from politicians. Never. We expect full decorum.
Yep.
No, yeah, that's pretty typical politician fashion right there. But to completely go back on a statement, but it's really interesting that he probably went back and talked to his staffers and was like, how are we going to actually make me sound like not an asshole here? And
he still sounded like what? We're not going to go there. We're not going to call him.
If you Google him, what else could he be?
Santorum,
boy,
exactly.
I kind of like Santorum in some ways, but he's so.
Wait, in what ways?
Which
ways?
I'm trying to be nice. I have common ground with him. We both. I like Jesus and God, but I'm not. I don't like him on the drugs, and I don't like him on the war, and I don't like him on the finance. Hey, you got him, and I'm glad you got him. That was good. You got him twice, Irina.
We just got like a confession out of you.
Oh yeah, I'm confessing. I think
that he's like an actually genuine person, and that he really means what he says. But I do think that drugs aren't something that he's really thought about. Like with every other policy, he's like, yeah, it's a states' rights issue. The federal government shouldn't intervene. But then here, it's a clash of like what the legal state rights are versus his moral. What claims to be moral in his own perspective, and he's like really kind of taking the avenue of by the Bible it says that this is bad, so we should have the federal government save people, which is really scary.
Yep,
right, yeah,
absolutely.
And that was a question you posed to Newt Gingrich too, right? You were like, well, how can you be so states' rights on all of these other issues, or the government should stay out of all of these other issues, but when it comes gun control, et cetera, but when it comes to marijuana. A plant that has killed how many? What's that? We have a ticker.
Zero.
No, we have a ticker.
For marijuana? Yeah. I've been counting it for a long time. It hasn't changed.
No. So,
unless you count the person that, I don't know, fell asleep and I don't know. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Like he didn't wake up?
Yeah, you didn't wake up. I don't know. I mean, that happens. You wake up, You take a nap and you wake up. That's the worst thing that happens.
What do you think was the most, got you the most response from other people that were, kind of doing the primary thing? People in the audience or people, online even, that were following it? What do you think, what interview and interaction do you think was the most kind of... remarkable.
The one that's been viewed the most is definitely Ron Paul, just because everyone's really excited about him right now.
Yep.
There are like over 8,000 views on the YouTube clip. The one that's been blogged about the most, I think, is actually Romney responding to me by saying, I kept like screaming at him, please answer my question. Does the drug war work? Please answer my question. And finally he walks away. His security stops him and is trying to make him like keep going, away from me, because at that point they already knew who I was. And he stops. He turns around. His security guards are like, no, don't do it. And he just walks straight towards me and he goes, this is a really long question, and you should go to my website for the answer. And, of course, I go to his website later, and it says the word drug 2 times, doesn't say anything about the drug war. So there have been a lot of blog posts written about how everyone's really excited to see the new page that Romney's going to type up about his stance about the drug war.
Yep. It's very interesting. I wonder if he has a... I wonder if this has an... I wonder, because his wife has MS. Medical marijuana is a known. People use that for MS. I just wonder if he actually doesn't think about these things when you ask him that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Romney especially is just so controlled. Every single word that he says is, pre-written, pre-approved. Yep. That's why when I went up to him in the spaghetti dinner line and asked him if he supports arresting medical marijuana patients, he completely flipped out, pretended that he didn't understand what I was saying, made up a word. He goes, arresting? Rasting. What's rasting?
Yeah.
And just like totally stalled until finally he was like, I do not support laws that legalize marijuana. And, you know, flipped out. His security guard pulled me away at that point. But, like, everything is really scripted. All of his rallies are exactly the same, and people actually fall for it. It's really scary.
Well, it's good that when you break in the programming, because I think when
must have gotten boring.
What we did as a community in New Hampshire, we really did change the debate up there. We rattled these candidates. We took them out of their comfort zone, and you did it. We're going to play some more clips. What else do we have here?
Well, I have a Mitt Romney one. It's not with her.
Is it the hemp one?
It's the one where they ask about industrialized hemp.
We're going to play. Let's play the hemp one.
All right.
I want to know what you thought about industrialized hemp. Industrialized hemp. Industrialized hemp. I'm not quite sure what industrialized hemp is. Okay.
He said he's not sure what it is.
He doesn't know what industrial.
You conclude that Mitt Romney is unaware of what industrialized hemp is. That's our first paragraph.
That was it.
That's how programmed and scripted he is. We're taking him out of the comfort zone. Aren't we, Irina?
That wasn't one of his Google searches. Santorum was.
Can we explain what industrial hemp is to former Governor Romney in case he still doesn't know? Because everyone in this room knows what it is, right?
Yeah, but, you know.
Yeah, industrial hemp is to grow for fiber, for food, for all these things that we are not allowed to do in America. They do it in Canada, and we import it. Why can't we just grow it here?
Or use it as fuel, you know? That's a
fuel.
Huge bioefficient fuel. But
they talk about oil, and this guy's a business guy. He's missing out on the biggest opportunity in in our country right now to add new jobs. Why don't we take those jobs back from Canada? So what else?
You don't really hear that often. The Canadians took our jobs.
Yeah.
They took our weed jobs.
Yeah, we want them back.
We want them back.
We're bringing them back. So the Ron Paul video, definitely, I saw that had gone viral. I think a lot of it was like a wrap up. You had done you'd gone around and asked all these candidates. And most of them weren't like Ron Paul. Ron Paul was very open with you. That was a great moment. Would you? Do you plan on following up? Do we have a phone call? What do we have?
No, I got the Ron Paul.
Oh, you want to play the Ron Paul?
Why
don't we play the Ron Paul audio?
Dr. Paul, why do you think other candidates aren't talking about drug policy?
Why they aren't?
Why aren't they? We've been trying to interview them all week, and we've gotten some answers.
I think they're easily intimidated, and they think that people are going to hold it against them if they talk sensibly about drug policy. Yet I think they're about 20 years behind the time. I think prohibition of anything doesn't work. The only thing we should prohibit is violence.
I completely agree. I'm with Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and a lot of our members fully support it.
We sure could use it.
Thank you.
Let's clap for that one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Irina. That was it was an amazing week up there.
Are you endorsing Mr. Paul yourself, Irina, or are you a Vermin Supreme fan like me?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's a tough
There's
one.
one right answer.
But definitely, Ron Paul is the best candidate for furthering our discussion of drug policy. You know, if not our actual change of drug policy. So I don't agree with him on all of his policies.
That's what I'm saying.
That is one that's close to heart.
Me too.
We'll see.
I feel you on that. But actually, we had this discussion last week that we were kind of debating about how can you is it right to vote for a single issue candidate or like a candidate that, supports obviously something that we're all involved in, very heavily invested in, and, want to see change. But, if speaking of 20 years behind the times, those newsletters were like 60 years behind the times when they came out. So, he's got some issues with me personally that we can take up. Actually, Ron Paul, you're welcome to call in on the show. We have.
Speaking of Ron Paul, do you think that he'll be like? Have you? It seems like you at this point, this video has come out. His people have to have seen it. They have to realize the power of SSDP. This guy is a rock star now. Is there any way that he's going to be doing SSDP events or doing more things with you guys? Is that something that you're trying to do right now?
It's definitely a possibility. Gary Johnson is on our advisory council, so we're totally welcome. Come on in, Ron Paul.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I see that. With Gary, he's much more, it seems, plugged into our community in a lot of ways. He didn't get as much support in the broad mainstream with some of these other issues. I think Ron Paul's tapped into more than just marijuana legalization. There are other issues that people are voting for him about. But I think it would be nice to see him plugged in more with us. And it's such a natural fit with SSDP. The way that you guys did this week, I sincerely thank you and love your organization. SSDP.org is the website. Can you tell us more about some of the groups in Massachusetts and what you guys are doing?
In Massachusetts?
In Massachusetts and beyond. You know, just in general, what does SSDP? We know what they did this week in New Hampshire, but what do you guys do? How do people get involved? If they're in a college or university right now and there is no SSDP, what do they need to do?
Totally. So, well, just in general, Students for Sensible Drug Policy, we support ending the war on drugs and getting students participating in the political process, empowering them to become activists even when they never thought they could be activists. And we have over 150 chapters right now across the U.S. We have a bunch internationally popping up. And I actually, in 2007, started up the Virginia Tech chapter. And I was like a really, really quiet student, never thought of myself as someone who would be like gung-ho for an issue. But when I started seeing how many people were affected by drug policy and how it literally is an issue that affects every single part of our society and every single person living in our country, in our world, really, I got so passionate and so, just ready to make a difference in it that I decided to do some research, start up a chapter of my own. SSDP is really great because they have such a supportive staff and such a supportive board. 2/3 of our board is made up of students, which is really rare.
Wow.
And it really gives students an opportunity to just do whatever they want with their chapter. There are some chapters that just screen movies. There are some chapters that run Good Samaritan policy campaigns. There are others that meet like once every week. And it's totally up to whatever you want it to make it. It's totally up to you to make it whatever you want it to be. But if you want to start a chapter, you can easily go onto our website, either ssdp.org or schools.prisons.com, and click Start a Chapter, and then someone from the staff will follow up with you and get you ready.
Yeah, I'm really glad you talked about all that because I personally got my involvement through, I joined a drug law reform organization similar to SSDP at UMass Amherst.
UMass Cannabis Reform Coalition.
Absolutely. So, and I was going to ask you what made you get interested initially in the movement, because for me it was getting arrested and having the wake up call real quick and realizing, oh, wait a second, I have, being a white person, a white female from a reasonably with enough money to pay for a lawyer, I was way better off than so many other people.
And I saw the same thing. I was a jock and a wrestler and a coach. That's what I was, and I saw it from being an athlete and being someone, seeing it happen to their friends and themselves, as well as when I was coaching and being actually the school employee.
Seeing people get arrested, you mean?
No, just the harm that these laws cause. Zero tolerance.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that the coach no longer has a say whether the kid stays on the team if he gets busted for weed or a cigarette.
Right, yeah.
So,
was it something like that? I mean, what was the spark, so to speak, that set you off into doing SSDP? It was just...
I think everyone does really have like a personal story that keeps them driven. I got involved because in high school I started smoking pot, and I actually did a bunch of research before I tried it. Went to the library and read books.
Oh, you're a weed nerd like all of us. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. All of my friends are weed nerds like that.
I'm a nerd. Yeah. And I sat in on a session and watched it, and then eventually I ended up trying it, and it really benefited my life a lot. And unfortunately, people like in my family weren't very supportive of it, and I had a really rough experience with my relationship with my family after that, and things kind of fell into a really bad place. And I realized that I really did come in it from the perspective of how is alcohol legal and marijuana not. It just completely blew my mind when I realized what the reality of the situation was, what the reality of the laws were. And the more and more I started learning about it and learning about how much we've been lied to and how this is all just completely BS, it totally kept blowing my mind.
You can say
and so I
bullshit.
was like, look, I got to do
This is
something about
internet radio. You can say bullshit on the
yeah. There we go.
No, that's awesome. And I'm really sorry to hear about that with your family. I know there was like, I had a lot of like perceived resistance when it came to like coming out to my family. But like as soon as I did, my dad was like, oh yeah, I got arrested for that plenty of times. Don't even get me started about like, going. I don't know. I'm not going to incriminate my dad. I just realized I'm not going to do that. But then, like, but like the stigma about it is so ridiculous.
It's still there.
It's so ridiculous, and that's really the reason, in a big way, for for parents to still get angry about pot is like preposterous. When until obviously, like, you don't want to be too young. I'm not endorsing that either, but like, I'm like,
and the stigma. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say the stigma is such a big part of it. I was visiting my grandma in Russia a few years ago, and she was telling me, she was, rambling on and on about how horrible my marijuana use is, how it's going to kill me, and then she gave me this example of this building in Moscow that this group of saviors who were, this group of men, like, came up to this building and burned it down because it was filled with these drug-using criminals who were going to stab and shoot everyone. And she's telling me that this is okay, but smoking pot isn't. And then when I ended up coming back home, I researched it and found out that this building in Moscow was actually a building filled with women who were in recovery. So just the way that the media portrays drug users, the way that people interpret drug use, it's so unfortunate and inhumane.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful story, and I'm glad, because there's a lot of students now that are needing a place in a community to go to on campus, and this is a great place to find it. This is
if you don't have one, start one up. If you're at a university, ssdp.org is the website. Mm-hmm. You can start your own chapter. You can get involved. It can lead to a professional experience. I mean,
internet fame.
That's the thing about marijuana reform. In the old days, they used to say, don't come out because it will hurt your career. I don't know. I'm finding just the opposite now, because the few that do come out, especially in a professional way, in a professional group like SSDP, it doesn't hurt you. It tends to help now, because there's a lot of people that want to support this, this cause.
And we support
totally
you.
True. There are a lot of people, I know a lot of people who got into law school because they have that, like, little spicy thing on their resume, and then people ask them about it. Once they're able to say, it's not like SSDPers are like, oh yeah, well, we just want to get high, that's why we're doing this. I mean, we're totally drug policy nerds. We're
you are.
drug policy nerds.
Researching
so when we're
on the
asked
internet
about it on a job application, and you give a full, really well thought out answer to it, then it looks really great. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Fuck yes. Let's end on a fucking A and a bullshit. And hell fucking
After this week,
Irina, you're the best. Thank you so much for talking to us. SSDP.org.
Woo! Let's hear it for SSDP this week, and do the work.
Are we gonna overuse the applause again? This
for this. We got every candidate on the record.
This isn't an overuse. I'm just saying. I'm predicting this.
How often do we get every candidate on the record? And we're pushing it. We're making them change. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Irina. Thank you for taking time out on your Saturday, and we look forward to talking to you again and following ssdp.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone say goodbye. Everyone say goodbye.
Thank you, Irina.
Bye.
Goodbye. No more drug war.
No more drug war.
Schools, not prisons.
Yeah.
I like that one.
That was a good conversation. We got a lot of people in the studio. We kind of usually we how do we say it? We ramp it up to our big guests, but this week we just wanted to get right to it, because this was a big call. We had the the audio queued up that Newman edited this week, which was huge.
Yeah, we're using Newman's talents early on in the show, because we got a big thing coming for Newman later on.
Oh yeah, we got something
that might incapacitate him and his abilities to produce the show.
He might not make it.
Now I just get to sit here and wait for that.
Yeah. So we do have a big. We've already had a big show, and we're gonna have a big show. We're gonna continue. Hopefully, we can handle it.
If Newman can handle it.
Yeah, give us a call.
Can we hint what that is?
Can we hint now?
What? Some music?
No. We're talking about the surprise that you don't know about yet. Oh, you might know. I might have already told them. I always tell everything.
All right, let's get to some music.
You always go, I'm going to tell you something. Don't tell anybody. And I'm like, you just told me.
Let's talk about it after the break.
Should we? Everyone wants to go now. Everyone wants to go try it out.
We have a Heather Mack
617-606-4122 is our phone number. Give us a call. Instant Feedback, if@instantfeedback.com. We're on Facebook now. We got a huge Facebook group. 2 Hotheads. Find us on Facebook. And what do we have? Heather Mack?
We got a Heather Mack request.
This is
David Bowie.
Oh, David Bowie.
Yeah, we went to a David Bowie dance party recently.
Wait. This is a special occasion. You know why?
Why?
This is like your first song that you've requested for us. Well, you've
All right, let's listen to it. Let's listen to it.
Yes.
All right, we'll be back.
OnRegulaRadio.com.